Welcome to this, our 32nd episode of Apex Instant Tips, coming to you live every Friday at 12:05 Eastern Time for 5 minutes only from Massachusetts. My name is Hayden.
And I'm Anton. And Hayden, happy Canada Day and Independence Day and all the other holidays that are early July to everyone.
Yes, a lot of independence to celebrate.
Yes. I understand that Mishka has a great tip for us today.
Yes, because I have prepared nothing.
Nor have I. So, Mishka?
No, we're teasing here.
Yeah. No, but I actually think we have a great tip for today. I was looking at our very first episode the other day, and I noticed that we refer to this as a low budget but high value 5 minutes. And I can promise we have delivered on at least half of that so far. But
today, the 5 minutes part, probably.
Yes, right. But today, I think we may hit 5 minutes. Certainly low budget and maybe even high value. So let's get going on it.
High value, at least for me. And I think that this has the virtue of being very practical. So let me just start out by kicking off this timer.
Oh, right, because 5 minutes is it.
5 minutes is it. And let me just demonstrate the problem. So I have a form, and when I click Apply Changes, I get this busy concatenation of success messages, because on this page I have 4 different success procedures, all of which have hard-coded success messages.
Right, or declaratively, right? When you say hard-coded,
right? Yeah, so it means that here I have program updated.
Right.
And for starters, I don't like the appearance. Like I don't like that there are no line breaks. And then I have some more complaints about that, but why don't we start with there? Do you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, so I mean, you can go just add line breaks to each of these by putting a BR tag at the beginning or at the end of whichever ones make sense, and that works pretty well. I mean, if they don't show, you might get an extra line in there or something, but it's certainly a better approach to just put the line breaks in there.
Okay, so let me raise the ante. I also want to improve the quality of information I'm giving to the user. So for example, line items reconciled, sometimes there are 0 line items reconciled, and I don't want to tell the user.
Well, that's easy, right? I mean, just put a condition on the process so the process doesn't run at all. If the process doesn't run, then you would do it. So
I could put a condition here that specifies that.
Right.
That's a great solution. Let me add another wrinkle. I want to improve the message such that it says how many lines were processed. So if it's 30 or 500, I wanted to say 500 lines processed.
Right. And I'll also say, I noticed just quickly that you actually are calling a PL SQL package as you scrolled through that. And that's the right way to do it. I think that's great. But sometimes that PL SQL package has a lot of code in it. And so just determining a condition is even tough. But what you need to do in order to do what you're looking for, in order to give more feedback about the number of rows processed or something, you definitely have to get something back back from the process. I see you've got line 7 in this code.
That's right.
Message. Is that something you're passing in, or
it is an out parameter, and it is in anticipation of this. So perhaps a lesson that we can take from this is sometimes it's necessary to have an out parameter for your procedures that will give information about what happened in that procedure. In this instance, it will return the message that I want to escalate to the user. So the question is, how do I do that?
Great. And there are a couple of ways to do it. I think the right way to do it is to reference apex application.g print success message. And what most people would do in this case is just put that line in there. It would be apex application print G6, perfect, L message. And that's great, except that you have 2 processes that run before this process. And if you do this, you're just going to overwrite their success messages. So you'll lose their success messages, but you'll get this one. So what you really need is you need a case statement that first checks to see is L message null or not null. So you know whether or not to add it to it. You want to, you also want to check to see if there's anything already in G success message. If there is, you want to add to it, not just overwrite it. Right. And so this code looks like it does exactly that, right? You've got, you're concatenating onto the old success message. You're adding a line break. This looks like it does everything you need. Let's see what we get when we do this.
Let's take it for a spin. So, and I will remember to remove this hard-coded declarative success message.
Right, exactly.
And if I run this, it'll now tell me how many lines were reconciled.
It also looks much better.
And if there are no lines reconciled, it returns no message at all.
Great. I mean, I think this is all great. The one thing I will say is you pasted in, 8 lines of code or something. It would be much better if those lines of code were part of a utility package. If you could, and then you would just call add to message or something like that.
Precisely. So this logic here is super generic and not at all specific to line items reconciled. So I might as well have a procedure that I can use in all instances of a similar case. So now same deal.
Same results, but you just encapsulate it. And so for a future Apex Instant tip, I'll talk about how to do a better job allowing you to translate that message, because what we've lost is an easy way to do translations of your application. But that's for another tip.
Yes, and I see that we have some good comments already to respond to in the break.
All right, so I think we've managed to hit our 5-minute timer, and that means that anybody that really came in just for 5 minutes should smash the bell, write letters to their friends about the show, maybe send a telegram.
Yeah. And goodbye if you are in fact leaving right now.
Okay, but we have a wisdom of the week. We have an off-topic tip, and we have questions, which is great. So I'll tell you what, let's start with the wisdom of the week. That way we can let the questions percolate a little bit, maybe even come up with an answer to some of those questions while we're talking about it. And here's our wisdom of the week. If you do a daily Agile Scrum and you state what you plan to accomplish that day, consider using the phrase, "Today, I promise to do the following." It really does help focus what you're doing. And instead of saying all of the things that you would like, that expansive list of things that you might get to, it helps you focus into the things that you really, really can possibly accomplish or should accomplish. And I tell you, I personally try to use this phrase. And when I use this phrase, I find that I'm much more effective at giving an answer of things that I can really get to. So that's my
I believe it. And I know that you mean this, Anton, because you have given me this advice many times. So this is something that you have carried with you for quite some time now.
Yeah. And I find it effective. I don't always do it. I often just say, "Oh, today I'm going to do this." And when I do that, I'm not as good at really giving a list that I can actually accomplish that day. So that's my wisdom of the week.
Yeah. And certainly, I when I follow that advice, I am much more conservative in my promises.
Yes. Okay, well, so let's take a look. I see some X for an output. See, I like that myself, Neil. I like that as a standard.
And I like it too. It struck me as a good advice as soon as I saw Niels write that. I'm trying to remember, and not to put anyone on the spot here, but I know that Stephen Feuerstein recently had a Foyer Tips where he addressed that specifically, and I can't remember what his advice was, but I'll look it up.
I apologize. I missed that Foyer tip. I'm a little behind on my In Some Cinematic Universe watching, but
I know Stephen is watching right now, so maybe he'll comment.
Maybe he'll. All right. The next comment I see from Plummet. What if we want a different pop-up for each message? What different color, for example?
So if you were to Google Apex application .g print success message, I think most of the examples that you'll find online are examples of people trying to do exactly that. So it is possible to pass in as much HTML and styling as you want into the value that you assign to the success message.
Yeah, it really is. It's HTML friendly. So that would be a great way to do it. And of course, we're not the only ones that think it's a good idea. Neilish as well.
So it looks like Stephen replied to us.
So let's see. I used to use the suffix of _out or _io. Like embedding the mode in the parent name instead of the mode. Oh, so I think what he's saying, I'm not actually sure what that last part means. Do you know?
I'll have to think on this one. But it sounds like he is he well, so he's fine with the P standard that I wrote, but he is also open to
A suffix of
others.
out or I think the suffix would be also interesting. Any of those, but I think from my perspective, the key would be to have a standard.
Oh, he clarified. So I love this conversation. Yeah. So message underscore IO better than P underscore message. I will remember this, and I won't have to ask again.
All right.
Yeah.
So yes, and that's
Right.
our standard is in and out being used, and that's a similar kind of thing. But I think all of those are fine. Like I said, I think the key really is have a standard, stick to the standard. In my case, I like the standard to include some indication of whether it's in or out or in and out or whatever it is. But if you can stick to the standard, then then everybody knows what it is. So all good topics. Probably slightly more appropriate to Stephen's foyer tips, but like I said, I'm a little behind in my ICU watching. Perhaps this long weekend will be spent, binge watching in some cinematic universe. I'm sure that's what everybody does when they binge watch.
Set up a viewing party.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. There was one other topic that I wanted to mention about this
before. Sure. Yeah.
Before.
Oh, right. I know you wanted to comment on the importance of completing the error message field in the procedure.
Very much so. We didn't talk about it, and it's not quite 5 minutes, but I'm going to put it in here because we're talking about success messages. I think it's really important that every process should have an error message. If you don't put anything in the error message, Apex will raise the Oracle error message unless you have an error handling, which we talked about before. And I think that's, I think every application should have an error handling.
Yes.
But short of the error handling, the error message that you have, if you have it just blank, you're going to get something like, an aura dash number, no data found, or something like that.
Right. The default is a huge security liability.
It is. It gives more information than you want. It might reveal table space names. It might reveal other kinds of things that you just don't want out there. I really think it's important that every process have an error message. So that's my short on topic tip. But you, Hayden, have a really neat off-topic tip. So
I do, and so let me set it up briefly. I know, Anton, you frequently describe yourself as not being very attuned to UI considerations. Is that a fair characterization?
It is, though I may understate my capabilities, but yes.
No doubt. But I thought this tip might be helpful to yourself as well as to myself. So I found this utility called mycolor.space, and I know there are many utilities out here. I've previously been using a utility from Adobe. I like this one because all you do is specify your base color, and so here this is the you might recognize this color here from the Vista default blue color.
I do.
Yeah. And when you click generate, it gives a what I think is a very user-friendly menu of color palettes. So this allows you to sort of expand the conversation and include people who aren't necessarily like Apex developers, and you can just sort of scroll through here and you can see different options. So some of these are edgy, some of these are comforting, some of these are conservative, and you can pick whichever one strikes your fancy.
Right, and so you could use this in conjunction with Theme Roller to lay out a theme that has these. And I will say, I often would say that when I see something I like, I know it, but I have a tough time coming up with something. So that's a huge start for me to use something like color space.
That's right.
give me something that I could then react to. So I think that's great. You could definitely make use of theme roller in conjunction with that to come up with a theme that really either pops or, as you said, comforts, or it depends on what the application's needs are.
Right.
What matches in some green? That's what we really should have used. We'll have to try that. Maybe.
But as you can see in theme roller, there are lots of choices that you are being invited to make about color, and you can have mycolor.space help you make those choices.
Yeah, I love this tip. I think it's a great. We're calling it an off-topic tip, but it's let's call it topic adjacent. Well, I think this is a great waste of 16 minutes of people's time. So, as they say, you've done it again. You've wasted 16 minutes with Hayden and me, but we hope you'll do the same next Friday. Until then, do all the things.
See you next Friday. Take care.
Bye-bye. Smash the bell, ring the bell, send a telegram,
subscribe,
whatever that thing in the middle is with all the, so